What's on that side today? Let me center this out. Everybody ready?
Ready?
Yeah, when you guys are. All right, good morning. Welcome to the May 6, 2026 City Planning Commission meeting. Commissioners, look forward to your case as we understand every project is important and unique. In addition, we want to make sure we address all of the docketed items individually with the attention they need to build consensus between the applicant, public, and city staff. Our meeting will follow the advertised docket, and we'll hear the cases in the order they're listed, beginning with the consent agenda items followed by the regular docketed items. The commissioners believe we can reach consensus by being brief yet heard. Because our meeting is virtual and recorded, we have time limits for the cases we hear, which is 5 minutes for staff presentations and 20 minutes for the applicant, plus any questions by the commissioners. When we move to public comment, we'll call on those who have joined us in person first, followed by those who have joined us virtually. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes when speaking as an individual, or up to 5 minutes when representing a community association or a larger group. Please be brief and limit repetitive comments. Those of you who are joining us virtually, please be ready to go when it's your turn to speak. Have your video camera turned on and your screen name correctly displayed. This helps us make sure we get your testimony for the record. As we get started, I ask staff to provide any other additional ground rules and instructions. So Sarah, can you remind us of those, please?
Yes, good morning. I'll describe the testimony procedures for today's hybrid meeting. First, for those joining us today online, please know that there are 2 categories of people participating in the meeting: attendees and panelists. Right now, the only panelists are the commission members and city staff. If you are an applicant or a member of the public who would like to testify regarding a case, please use the raise hand function when the case is announced to let staff know you would like to speak. There is a ribbon at the bottom of your Zoom screen with a hand icon. Please click this to raise your hand to request to speak on a case. You will need to accept the promotion to panelist in order to speak. It may appear temporarily as if you have been disconnected, but don't panic. You will reconnect shortly. If you are calling in on a phone line, your screen name appears as your phone number. You can raise your hand to speak when the case is announced by pressing star followed by the number 9. When you are promoted to panelist, the chair would like for you to turn on your camera so that the commission can see you when it is your time to speak. Your microphone needs to always be on mute unless you are giving testimony at the appropriate time. When you are called upon, you will be able to share your screen to display exhibits. The chat box is only for questions about the agenda. The merits of each case are not to be discussed in the chat box. For everyone joining us today in person, applicants may be seated at the center desk when the case is announced. Members of the public who would like to speak may approach the microphone on the podium located to the left of the seating area when the chair calls for public testimony. If you are here in person, there is no need for you to be on the Zoom meeting as well. Joining the meeting in both manners causes a lot of unnecessary feedback and audio disruptions. Please keep on silent or mute all electronic devices and be quiet when entering and exiting the hearing room. The Commission has established time limits for all testimony during the meeting. You will be given 2 minutes to testify when speaking as an individual, or 5 minutes if you represent an organization, such as a neighborhood association, HOA, CID, or business association. Those are all of our procedures.
Okay, thank you. Let's begin with the consent docketed items, please.
The consent docket begins with item C1, case CD CPC 2026-32, a request to approve a final project plan for Lot 1 of Envision for an industrial use in District M2-1 on about 12 acres generally located at the northeast corner of I-435 and North Congress Avenue. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Item C2 is case CD CPC 2026-47, a request to approve a project plan in District R7.5 on about 2 acres generally located at the northeast corner of North Liberty Street and Northwest 104th Street, allowing for the landscaping of private open space tracts. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Item C4 is case CLD Final Plat 2026-7, a request to approve a final plat in District R7.5 on about 2 acres generally located on the south side of Countryshire Lane, approximately 200 feet east on Booth Avenue, allowing for the creation of 7 lots and 1 tract for an existing residential development. Staff recommends approval with conditions. And item C4 is case CLD Final Plat 2026-10, a request to approve a final plat in District MPD on about 77 acres generally located on the north side of Highway 152 between North Line Creek Parkway to the west and North Platte Purchase Drive to the east, creating one lot. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
Okay, any questions from the commissioners regarding docket items C1, C2, or C3? Commissioner Lynch or Hasek?
None for me.
All right, let's open it up for any public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket items C1, C2, or C3?
What about C4?
Oh, and C4, sorry. Please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon.
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, we'll close public testimony then, and I'll take a motion, please.
Chair Crowell, I move to approve the consent docket as stated in the docket.
Second.
So I've got a motion and a second for approval of docket items C1, 2, 3, and 4. Margaret, can you take a roll call on that motion, please?
Crow,
Yes.
Enders.
Aye.
Forbes.
Aye.
Hasek.
Aye.
Lynch.
Aye.
Morel.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
All right, looks like the motion passes then. Let's move on to the regular agenda items, beginning with those that are wanting to continue to a future date.
The continuances begin with item 10.1, case CD CPC 2026-41, a request to approve an amendment to the Greater Downtown Area Plan from residential low density to residential high density for a multi-unit residential building on about 0.147 acres, generally located at 2922 Summit Street. Staff recommends continuance without fee to May 20th. 10.2 is case CD CPC 2026-39, a request to approve a rezoning without plan from R6 to R1.5 for a multi-unit residential building on about 0.147 acres, generally located at 2922 Summit Street. Staff recommends continuance without fee to May 20th. Docket item number 11 is case CD SUP 2026-20, a request to approve a special use permit for a gasoline and fuel sales establishment in an M1-5 zoning district on about 0.314 acres, generally located at 840 North Montgall Avenue. Staff recommends continuance without fee to May 20th. Item 10.1 is case CD CPC 2026-19, a request to approve an amendment to the Greater Downtown Area Plan from residential low density to downtown mixed use on about 1.7 acres, generally located at the northeast and northwest corners of Bellevue Avenue and West 30th Street. Staff recommends continuance without fee to June 3rd. Item 12.2 is case CD CPC 2026-18, a request to approve a rezoning from District R2.5 to District DX-2 on about 1.7 acres, generally located at the northeast and northwest corners of Bellevue Avenue and West 30th Street. Staff recommends continuance without fee to June 3rd. Item 12.3 is case CD SUP 2026-14, a request to approve a special use permit for indoor warehousing and limited manufacturing in proposed District DX-2 on about 1.7 acres, generally located at the northeast and northwest corners of Bellevue Avenue and West 30th Street. Staff recommends continuance without fee to June 3rd. Docket item number 13 is case CD CPC 2026-38, a request to approve a rezoning from District R80 to District R7.5 on about 87 acres, generally located at the southeast corner of Northeast Staley Road and Northeast Shoal Creek Parkway. Staff recommends continuance without fee to May 20th. And docket item number 14 is case CD CPC 2026-37, a request to approve a development plan also serving as a preliminary plat in District R7.5 to allow for a residential development on about 87 acres, generally located at the southeast corner of Northeast Staley Road and Northeast Shoal Creek Parkway. Staff recommends continuance without fee to May 20th.
Okay, any questions from the commissioners regarding continuance of docket items 10.1, 10.2, 10, and then 11, 12, 1, 12, 2, 12, 3, 13, or 14? Okay, any of my commissioners online? You can just shake your head. I can see you. Okay. All right, then let's open it up for any public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding continuance of docket items 10.1, 10.2, 11, 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, 13, or 14, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon.
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, we'll close public testimony then, and I'll take a motion, please. One of you three get to make the motion since Commissioner Enders stepped out. It'll be good practice.
I motion to approve the docket items,
Continuance of,
continuance of docket items 10.1 through 14.
okay. With the dates as stated on the agenda.
With the dates as stated on the agenda.
Okay. All right, so I got a motion
Second.
and I've got a second for continuance of docket items 10 through 14. Margaret, can you take roll call, please?
Morale,
Aye.
Forbes,
Aye.
Hasek.
Aye.
Lynch,
Aye.
Morale,
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Okay, looks like the motion passes. Okay, back to docket item number 1, please.
Docket item number 1 is case CD CPC 2026-50, a request to approve a council-approved signage plan in District MPD on about 80 acres generally located within the Berkeley Riverfront District. Matt Barnes is the staff planner for this case.
Good morning, Matthew Barnes, City Planning and Development, here with docket item number 1, which is the council approved signage plan for the Berkeley Riverfront. The site is generally located in the Berkeley Riverfront District, which is in the 4th Council District, located within the greater downtown area plan. Here is just a closer view of the site. You can see the KC Current Stadium to the northeast side of the area highlighted in yellow. This site is currently under development and is progressing very nicely. So this area does have a few different controlling plans for signage within it. Right now, today, we're just looking at the area highlighted in yellow. There's a previously minor amendment that included the Two Birds, One Stone, Origin Hotel, and the KC Current Stadium, and the original plan highlighted in blue, which was the core apartments and union apartments. So this plan today will be controlling the area highlighted in yellow. Here's just a closer view of that site. They're proposing a few different signage types. So tenant signs or the pink dots on there, wayfindings and digital signage are the yellow dots. And then development signs are outside of this, but one is proposed to be located right there, as well as an existing, recently completed entertainment district sign, digital, right there in the square by the entrance. And they are proposing a south side of that sign to be advertising as well. So the intent of the council approved signage plan is to integrate signage with the architecture, create a unified development identity, and allow flexibility in size, height, number, and type. It must achieve, not circumvent, the intent of the signage code. This is a short timeline here. They applied for this application on April 14th, try to get these signs and approved before the World Cup and events around that. This would be scheduled for the June 6th, but we worked with the applicant to get this to today's hearing. We reviewed and issued 31 corrections 3 days after submittal, and then met with them on April 23rd to discuss those and work out a majority of the issues that we had. They submitted those revised plans on April 27th. Here's just showing that proposed wayfinding signage on the right there. The 6'7" is what they are currently proposing. They worked with staff to reduce that. The original submittal was on the left there, which is 18 feet tall. So that reduced in size with staff comments. And then here's that entertainment district sign that's already up. You can see it on the left there in the packet in the approved signage plan. It is shown there as on the right. So The applicant's request today for permitted signs is really all signs permitted in non-residential districts, with the exception of pole signs, banner signs, and digital menu boards. Any digital signage in there must automatically adjust its brightness, avoid glare and traffic interference, and any change on the sign is limited every 8 seconds for items facing public right of way. So the number of signs permitted, signs with commercial message, 100 maximum within the district. Without a commercial message, there's no limit. We don't regulate signage without a commercial message. Any digital signage that is less than or equal to 100 square feet, they can have 40 maximum signs. And digital that is greater than 100 or and less than 1,200 square feet is 10 signs. For any wall signs, it's 75% square feet or 20% of the wall area, whichever is greater, and that's for the combined signage on a wall. Monument signs, 200 square feet, and back of digital signs, 100% of sign faces the request. And that is for that digital sign I showed earlier that it's existing. For window and door coverage, the applicant is proposing 30% of windows and doors be covered with, able to be covered with signage, and up to 100% for vacant, under construction, and back of house spaces. So some staff concerns that we have, first one is the window signage I just discussed. The zoning code standard is 15% maximum of the sign of the windows being covered. They're asking for 30% of an occupied space, as well as 100 vacant and back of house. The concern is the reduction in transparency also reduces natural surveillance and pedestrian safety. We are recommending that the plans are changed to that of the prospect overlay, which allows the space to exceed that 15% as long as that 3 foot to 6 foot range of the building elevation is transparent. Second concern is really more of a wording in the plan set. The zoning code prohibits signage within the public right of way. The current wording of the language on there could be interpreted to allow an encroachment as a general condition. As this is a case-by-case review, we think it should be reworded to basically have subject to the issuance of a encroachment permit, if applicable. Signs may project, encroach, etc. Currently, that line is at the end of it, so rewording it to have it at the beginning reduces our major concern. Last concern is our allowance of offsite advertisement. Offsite advertisement would not be permitted at this location under section 88445. On the right, there's the locational requirements that I've highlighted that would be restricting this space to allow for offsite advertisement. The request also includes outdoor advertising sign or a billboard on the back of the entertainment district sign. Staff believes that the inclusion of this on offsite advertisement circumvents the zoning code and intent of the council approved signage plan. Staff has included a recommendation of 2 conditions for consideration should the City Plan Commission recommend approval. That is that first, all signs shall require a sign permit prior to installation. And then second is the inclusion of the revisions for the prospect overlay guidelines, similar to that with the transparency of 3 to 6 feet on the building elevation, as well as the rewording of the encroachment section. With that, staff does recommend denial for the council-approved signage plan, and I can take any questions.
Okay, any questions from the commission to city staff?
Yeah, just a quick clarification on that last part. Were you asking for both of those revisions in conjunction with one another, or one of those 2?
For the recommended conditions, staff is recommending that prior to city council approval, that both bullet number 1 and 2 are
Both.
Are updated on the plan.
Thank you.
Matthew, could you go back one more slide? So this isn't in your conditions, right?
Correct. It is not Staff is recommending denial because of the inclusion of offsite advertisement. If city council were to approve, it would be allowed per the request on the plan
Is that something that can be conditioned?
to remove.
Yeah.
It would require a change of the plans, and the plans currently specifically request offsite advertisement on them.
You could probably approve, subject to that condition. We would recommend that that be removed prior to ordinance request.
And so is, sorry if I wasn't following completely, are the main concerns as to why staff is recommending denial, is it size, quantity, and offsite advertising, or is it primarily just the offsite advertising?
The main concern now is the offsite advertisement.
Got it. Okay.
Can you remind us how the signage plan kind of refers into the MPD? Anything that was placed in the master plan development that referenced the signage and what was expected at this time? Because it seems like it's more entertainment, especially with the current there. I'm just curious if you can kind of remind us of that.
Yeah, the original signage plan obviously didn't have the stadium and this kind of entertainment district within it. And it was really focused on more of the apartments and proposed, smaller scale retail. It didn't really take into account this level of entertainment use.
And really, the MPDs that cover everything or just the yellow and green or
Yeah,
yellow, green, and blue, right?
Yeah, everything in there is within that MPD boundary.
Okay.
And that has now 3 different
Any other questions from commissioners? All right, let's welcome the applicant. Good morning.
Good morning, Roxanne Koch with Pulcinelli representing the applicant, and to my left is Mukul Sharma with the development team for Berkeley Riverfront. He's actually the director, portfolio manager of Palmer Square Real Estate. And then to my right is Jim McClure, who's also an associate with Pulcinelli. We appreciate your time this morning. I think initially, I know we've got a presentation, but I think initially I'd like to have Mukul introduce the intent for the development for the signage plan. And then I'll walk through a couple of notes within our presentation as well.
Perfect. It's great to see you all again. What we're doing at Current Landing is, we're working on $1 billion mixed-use project adjacent to CPKC Stadium. And a project of this size, the scale, this complexity doesn't happen without partnership between us, the city, the Port Authority, and city staff. And so I first wanted to thank you all for the time again, and for the city staff's collaboration. I think I was in front of you only a year and a half ago, trying to get our initial MPD final plan for the phase 1 of Current Landing approved. In just a year and a half, we made a tremendous amount of progress, and we are rapidly approaching delivery of key portions of this $200 million first phase in advance of the World Cup. And so we might skip around a little bit in the deck. If you don't mind, might just go forward here. Can I start with my portion? Oh.
Let me share my screen real quick. There we go.
So Current Landing is $1 billion mixed-use project that is one of the largest sports-anchored projects in the U.S. that's currently under construction. And I wanted to give the commission really the business intent, because I think some of the business intent gets lost in certain words like a billboard or offsite advertisement or some of the technical details. So really our focus with Current Landing has been firmly rooted in delivering a high quality aesthetic to the riverfront. It's hard to see in that picture, but I'll kind of flip through some broader renderings in a couple of minutes. We're focused on using timeless materials, extremely high quality facade. 90% of our facade is brick, which is unheard of for a usual 5/2 multifamily and mixed use project. And really it is the creation of a brand new neighborhood along the riverfront. The second piece is that we sit at a really unique area for real estate. The vast majority of the roads, every road except Berkeley Parkway, are private roads. They're not KCMO owned roads. They're not part of the public right of way. And all of this is private land. So when we talk about the vast majority of these signs, they're internal facing into our own district. I think there was a comment around what was submitted in our MPD final plan. There was a video board in our MPD final plan as part of an A3 building facing Berkeley Parkway. Our renderings as part of our MPD final plan always contemplated this level of activation. And that's because it really gets to the third bullet point, which I'll get to in a second. The last piece is that current landing is already part of a council-approved entertainment district. That gives us rights related to an entertainment district promotional license and open container and a variety of other attributes, but it is already a unique location. And in our view, it's not precedent setting next to the river, next to a stadium in an entertainment district, vis-a-vis anything else that might come across the city in front of the City Plan Commission. And then the last piece is really what I'll focus on in the next couple of pages, which is our business strategy. I think Commissioner Kroll was right in flagging. We have created this district in order to host and attract events and corporate partners and tourism and economic activity for Kansas City. When we talk about a sign on the back of our video board, it's not to promote, I don't know, a law firm or a car dealership or anything that you'd see traditionally on the side of I-35 or I-70 for billboards. It's really to highlight our corporate partners. It's to highlight events that we're co-branding with a bank, a tech firm, a local nonprofit. And all of those right now, if we were to eliminate offsite advertising, would be prohibited. And that would directly undermine our ability to attract world-class events to current landing. The other piece is that this is a very high density of retail. We're opening 10 to 12 new bars and restaurants and retailers just in the first phase of current landing that we're delivering this summer. And that means that those 10 to 12 bars and restaurants will have signage. We will have awnings. We will have various items to show the world and to anyone coming by that these businesses exist. And so it's a very different way of thinking about it in isolation from, say, an infill development within the core of the city, because it is a unique business strategy. And so I might just show you a couple of renderings. These are photorealistic renderings. This is literally what we're building right now. Our brick facade is up. You'll see storefronts coming in over the next 60 days. But the green turf, if you've been down there in our town square, and the video board is up. You can see from this aesthetic, it is a very high quality, timeless aesthetic. When we talk about signage, I know when Mr. Barnes showed kind of the dot map of all the retail signage, it feels like a lot, but that's because there are awnings that are supporting our storefronts for these retailers. There's a video board that has our district branding and our corporate partners related to it. And I would keep in mind, the vast majority of this signage is internal facing. I do want to highlight, Mr. Barnes highlighted really 3 points. One was an encroachment, one was related to window coverings, and the third was offsite advertising. The first 2 points we don't dispute, and we're absolutely willing to take that as a condition. There's zero problem there. We would, of course, never put anything in public right of way without having an encroachment, and we fully accept that. The third piece is the piece that I'd like to continue to focus on and highlight. This is really, I think, the main focus of staff's concern. The backside of our video board is a prime opportunity for us to brand not just for the current and for current landing, our district, but for any of our corporate partners and our events that we attract. And the goal of this is for it to not be a billboard, as I said, what you'd see on off of an interstate. It's really to tie into our broader aesthetic. And because it is private land, it is something that we as a master developer control all aspects of. We have that ability to ensure a high quality, timeless feel. This is just another shot of between our 2 buildings, River's Edge Residences on the north facing the river and the Confluence Residences. You can see again, every one of those awnings is a retailer. It's a bar or restaurant. And it's directly related to our ability to host events and attract events here. And then I only have 2 more pictures, so bear with me. This is another view of our storefront. I think one area where we worked with staff on crafting the right level of flexible tenant signage was here, because each one of our storefronts look a little different. And this is one example of how, there are no awnings, but we still need to be able to show and showcase tenant signage, which you can kind of see right in the middle over here. And then finally, and this is where I would personally like to thank staff for their expedited review here. The reason why we're doing this so fast, the reason why we've accelerated all of our plans for our first phase on this $200 million first phase, is related to a lot of the festivities coming up in just under 45 days. We want this to be a venue and an event space for our city. And that is why we, have been working with staff to accelerate the review of this application, so we can put most of this up before the World Cup. I'm not an attorney, so I will maybe flip it over to the legal side of this. Of course, happy to take any questions once our friends at Pulse and Alley get through their presentation as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We just want to touch on some more technical pieces of some of the things that the staff indicated. One might ask, why are we here on a sign plan versus an amendment to the MPD? I think there was a question about, what does the MPD say about signage? Actually, the MPD, other than the final plan for the stadium that was mentioned, is silent on signs. And so when we worked with the staff initially with this concept that McCool laid out very clearly of what the intent is behind it, they suggested there were two routes we could go: sign plan approval through the city council, or we could amend the MPD plan. We were willing to do either. We were suggested to go ahead and do the sign plan. So that's why we're here today, for you to review a sign plan that would go on to city council for approval. Next item that I want to just touch on, I think that there's the suggestion that the approval of our proposed sign plan would circumvent the intent and purpose of the code. And I'd like to just walk through what is in the code with regard to purpose and intent. And I think that just wraps together everything that McCool presented, that shows you that that's really not what's happening here. Again, under the purpose of just the entire chapter of the zoning code, specifically, it says it creates the rules and regulations to provide for economically vibrant and visually attractive developments, and when needed, provide the flexibility to accommodate the needs of those developments that will support and enhance Kansas City. I think clearly what we've shown here meets that intent and purpose. City Council has explicitly retained the authority to accommodate the unique characteristics of development areas, including granting waivers and deviations when necessary or desirable to achieve development goals of the city. Clearly, Berkeley Riverfront Park and creating a unique sports entertainment district is the purpose of this area. And as McCool outlined, in order to have a successful unique development, the signage plan that's being proposed is a necessary part of that. And again, examples being specifically a city-approved sign plan of where those deviations and waivers can come into play. Stadium signage development, specifically, MPD and UR deviations, development plan deviations, overlay district standards. And then we get specifically to the intent of code revisions for a council-approved sign plan. Again, this is specific. If you take a look at the code for approved sign plans, the purpose of the council-approved sign plans is to provide flexibility to the sign code rules and regulations to accommodate large or unique developments, including flexibility in the size, height, duration, number, and type of allowed signs. Unique characteristics that we have here that McCool already outlined, but I'll just emphasize. We're located within the City Council approved subzone for the Berkeley Riverfront Entertainment District. We're located next to the first and only woman purpose-built professional sports stadium. And it's important that we highlight the sponsors. This doesn't happen without having sponsors to support a stadium of this nature. Integrate mixed-use development focused on promotion of tourism and residential living within a sports-focused entertainment district. And at the end, the next, I won't read that, but that's just straight from the code, the next piece that's on the slide. So I think that we've been able to highlight that we meet ultimately the purpose and intent of a sign plan. There may be concern about outdoor advertising, which seems to be the crux of it for city staff, but it is a necessary and desirable piece to enhance and promote what is to be a very unique, destination-oriented sports entertainment district that supports both residential living and the unique nature of the various different tenants and the stadium.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions for the applicant?
Could you all walk us through the map and kind of explain what this plan would allow for in terms of off-site advertising? Because I think I have a sense for it, but I also am worried that I'm missing some locations that could potentially be eligible.
Yeah, sure. Oh, sorry. Perfect. So, and Roxanne or Jim, you'll have to correct me if anything I
Sure.
say is directionally incorrect. But essentially, everything you see in pink is related to our tenant signage. So it's tenant storefronts, awnings, things
And,
like that.
and is it currently written that way, that so those are ineligible for off-site advertising?
That an attorney.
I don't believe that it specifically states that in there. Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, yeah, I don't believe that it specifically references awnings would not include off-site advertising.
Okay.
The main areas are really related to the back of our video board, which I showed a rendering of kind of that, which we can flip back to that as well. And any pedestrian video boards that exist. And again, those pedestrian video boards are not intended unless we get an official encroachment to face the public right of way. So they would likely be between these two buildings, within our plaza area, on this pedestrian promenade.
So those aren't shown currently.
Those are shown.
Are they the yellow?
Yeah, those are the little
Okay.
yellow dots.
Sorry, when you said they like, okay, got it. So, let's stay there then. So you've got, I'll just say, I guess the north side. The top two yellow dots, I think I understand where that is. Then the next two, which are clustered in between the intersection, I think I know where that is. So then the next three that are in the southernmost, so you're saying those are intended to be pedestrian, or at that point, are those three slightly different than the pedestrian?
These are, think of these as like a wall of a bus shelter in terms
Okay.
of height and scale.
So then the one that's in the furthest southeast, is that what is that? Because it seems to me like that one wouldn't really, it feels like it's not close to where pedestrians are.
So that would, think of that as, these are our parking lots, right? So these are where 1,000 or so pedestrians cross every time we hold an event. So when you think about each one of these are basically the size of, say, a 75-inch Samsung TV flipped vertically.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's intended to have.
The one that's closest to the highway, southeast corner, bottom right corner.
That one would likely be related to wayfinding and less actual, it wouldn't, that one candidly wouldn't have any advertising on it. The intent is not.
And that location's outside of this plan under consideration today. That's under the 2023 case.
Sorry.
That was already approved.
Okay, so, and that, okay, and so that one is not pedestrian sized and won't function the same as the other ones.
It's not part of this particular sign plan, so perhaps that yellow dot was misplaced on this.
Okay.
That
helpful
one's
to-
part of a sign plan that's already approved.
That one is very confusing relative to all the other pedestrian sized oriented ones. So that's helpful for me to understand. Thank you. And then there are
If I
two-
can interrupt, I'm being told it's hard to hear you all online. So if you could speak more closely to the microphone.
Got it. Yes, can and will do. Okay, so then in the staff report, we have, what was provided by the applicant, which has a few more yellow dots, which I think I can now ignore because they're outside of the area under consideration. Those yellow dots are very, very different than the pedestrian size 6-foot signs. So then the only signs where you all are hoping to allow for offsite advertising are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yellow dots on this screen, omitting the one in the bottom right that's by the highway. And then on the back of the large screen, is that correct?
That's correct, but I would say that, say Revel Bar, for example, is one of our announced tenants. If they have a Bud Light sponsorship or something, would that be considered offsite advertisement? In our opinion, it wouldn't be, because it would just be a, on their
Inside or outside of their space?
outside.
Yeah,
like they're-
McCool, can you pull your microphone a lot closer to you?
Is this better?
Yes, thank you.
So I would say that, yes, Commissioner Enders, the intent is that all of the yellow signs are the ones that are expressly related to offsite advertisement. I would, my question back, which I don't know the answer, because again, I'm not an attorney, would be, would any of the tenant signage as a tenant having another brand represented on their signage be considered offsite advertisement?
I'll just give you what I feel is appropriate, and then obviously lawyers can weigh in on what's actually allowed. If you go by a bar and you see a bunch of Peroni umbrellas or something, I think
Yeah.
that's deemed appropriate, but that's also on sign or on premise advertising because they're serving Peroni. So what I wouldn't want to see is, as you gave an example, like some global brand or something that has nothing to do with the bar advertising. And so I feel as though for tenants, it wouldn't be inappropriate to disallow offsite offsite advertising for tenants, because it just doesn't seem fitting. If you want someone to come in and sell a certain type of goods, it doesn't seem to make sense to me to allow them to advertise something unrelated to their business.
Yeah, I would say that my example and your example are the same, right? So in a bar, oftentimes, if you go to, say, the Brooksider, right, they have sponsored umbrellas that a global beer distributor probably gave them,
Yep.
that has both their branding and the sponsor's branding on it. And that, in our view, that should be permissible, because that's part of the normal,
Absolutely.
regular way of running a bar. So that is our intent with that. We wouldn't slap an unrelated logo onto
Yeah,
it.
I don't think that's staff's concern at all because I think that's more considered on-site or relevant to the business. I think the concern is that if someone decides to turn their building into a billboard that's more
That's not the intent.
generating advertising revenue, that has nothing to do with.
Correct.
who's
And
paying.
that is, we would, because remember, we're the landlord for every one of these tenants. We would never want that either for our tenants.
Yeah, so that's it. I mean, I've personally no concerns about any of the offsite advertising if it is limited to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yellow dots plus the blue outline that says North Facing Entertainment District sign. And then also is the northeasternmost dot, is that the large screen?
It is it's the blue, sorry, you can point to it. It's the blue dot at the south of the plaza.
That's where the
The
screen is.
the blue box,
Okay.
yes.
That's
Yep.
the screen with the backside being the red line is the advertisement.
Yeah, and then again, I don't know how everything's written in this plan. Like with what was just discussed, personally, I have zero concerns with any of that. I think my concern would be if it's written in a way that allows for interpretation later, and then there are more locations identified, and you could get to some point in the future where there are triple the amount of signage locations that are digital and displaying offsite signage. But as that was just explained, personally, I have no qualms with it.
Any other questions for the applicant? For my commissioners online, any question? If you don't mind, stop sharing now. That'd be great.
I don't have any questions, but I'll probably have a comment. I'll wait until after we're through public testimony.
Okay.
I think I have question for, I think it's for staff or for us, but are we also reviewing, you mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the tenant signs, the transparency and the size. Are we,
On the windows,
yes,
yes, staff is requesting that that be revised, and it sounds like
We would accept that condition.
Okay.
Just for the avoidance of doubt, I think there were two conditions that staff proposed. One was related to the transparency on the storefront for tenant signage, and the seeking encroachment permit. If we were to ever come into the public right of way, we would accept both conditions.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's move on to public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket item number 1, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you will be called upon.
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, we'll close public testimony then. Anything else you'd like to add at this time?
I don't think so. Happy to answer, again, any questions.
No, I would just like to echo a thanks. I know this is a unique project, and we have been before you a couple different times approving various phases. So we just are thankful for the partnership with CPC and of course city staff, which we work with staff on a daily basis. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll close testimony, speak amongst the commission. Mr. Hassick?
And actually, I want to ask staff a question. Is there any way that we could condition in a requirement for a permit for just the south facing sign?
The big pole sign?
I mean, all
Yes.
signs still have to get permits.
Okay. I thought that was one of the conditions, was requiring a permit for the signs. But it sounds like even if we do approve this, then it would still require a permit.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Can I
Okay,
add one point of clarification?
go ahead.
On the plans do state that static, digital, or electronic signs within this district can do offsite advertisement. So it doesn't limit it to just those 6, 7 signs currently. So
Yeah, and so what I would want to clarify with is that offsite signage is, if this is the intent of the applicant, is limited to the digital pedestrian-sized wayfinding signs and the south-facing entertainment district sign. That would be my preference.
And we would be fine with that. The way that it was originally explained to us was that any logo that's not directly related to a tenant on tenant signage is prohibited or considered offsite advertisement. But if there's a carve out for outside the normal course of a tenant's business or something, again, I'm not an attorney, we would be more than happy to accept something like that. We just wouldn't want to put our tenants at a disadvantage versus another bar or restaurant that
Sure.
can accept in-kind goods.
All right.
You go with that?
Yep.
Thank you.
Chair Crowell, and with appreciation for, the staff recommendation, but then also the uniqueness of the project, and I think landing in a good spot. Chair Crowell, I recommend approval of docket item number 1 with conditions, and then asking the applicant work with city staff prior to taking this to council to specify that the offsite signage is intended to be limited to the digital wayfinding signs that are pedestrian sized and the south-facing entertainment district sign.
Second.
So I've got a motion and a second for approval of docket item number 1 with the added statement that Commissioner Andrews had there. So Margaret, can you take roll call, please?
Crowell,
Yes, aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Forbes,
Aye.
Hassick. Hassick. Oh, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I think he said aye.
Lynch,
Aye.
Morrell,
Aye.
Padilla.
All right.
Okay, looks like the motion passes. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your
Thank you.
patience and working with staff on this. It is an important project, and excited to see it come to life again.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Months, right? Yeah.
A couple months.
All right, let's move on to docket item number 2, please.
Docket item number 2 is case CD CPC 2026-31, a request to approve the 114 West Linwood Boulevard Urban Renewal Plan, declaring the area blighted and in need of redevelopment pursuant to LCRA approval on about 0.46 acres generally located at West Linwood Boulevard and Wyandotte Street. And our friend Andy Clark from Project Administration is here to present this one.
I guess celebrity.
Yep. So celebrity sighting today on the 10th floor. I'm Andrew Clark. I'm in city planning and development, as Sarah said, in the project administration division. And today I'm here with Mr. Bob Long and Pat Starrett for an LCRA plan. And share my screen. I forgot how to do this. Great. All right, the case before you is CDCP 2631. This is at 114 West Linwood Boulevard, located in Midtown. The property is zoned B4-5. It's also within the Main Street overlay. The modern Woodman of America building was constructed in 1920. And really the only thing I have to present to you today is this picture from 1940. So this is a great piece to the Linwood corridor and Main Street overlay. Mr. Long will go into more details of what the incentives include, but the main points here, it's a single parcel abatement for 10 years, and it's administered by the LCRA. Staff's recommendation is approval, and then I will pass it on to Mr. Long.
Mr. Chairman, members of the City Plan Commission, I'm Bob Long, the Senior Development Services Specialist at the Economic Development Corporation of Kansas City, Missouri, Incorporated. That all does fit on a business card, but not by a whole lot. Here today on behalf of the Land Clearance for Redevelopment Authority, which is one of the agencies that we staff on behalf of the city. This is a proposed, what we call a footprint urban renewal plan. Footprint plans generally consist of a single property, single project. In this case, this is just the one property, the modern Woodmans of America building and parking lot. It's on the north side of West Linwood. It's about a block west of Main Street on the north side of West Linwood Boulevard. The building has been vacant for several years, has fallen into disrepair. The owners approached us about the possibility of obtaining tax incentives for the potential redevelopment of the property. I believe they are intending to renovate the building and not scrape and completely redevelop the building or property. So we, as part of the creation of an urban renewal plan, we do have to have a blight study performed, and I will introduce Pat Starrett of Starrett Urban, who did the blight study on behalf of the LCRA.
Thank you, Bob. As he stated, my name is Pat Starrett of Starrett Urban, and I prepared the blight study for 114 West Linwood Boulevard.
We might
think you
need
need- you still need to share your
Beth
screen.
Finn. We are locked out.
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay.
Is he coming out? You getting rusty. Lucky you attempted my password.
We'll just do it.
We'll drive that way.
Okay, sounds good. As Mr. Long noted, the parcel is just under half an acre. It is just one property tax.
You mind holding the microphone up so we
Little
can hear
bit-
you
a
online?
little bit
There
better.
you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The NWA building was constructed in 1922. It is 3 stories, approximately 18,000 square feet. There have been numerous attempts, none of them successful, to place the property on the National Register. The State Historic Preservation Office has commented that there's just been too many changes to impact the integrity of the property. There are a number of conditions that are satisfied for blight on the property, including insanitary or unsafe conditions. That's non-functioning or missing building and life safety systems, and improvements that have been made do not satisfy modern codes or standards. You can see that the power's been disconnected to the building. There are stairs missing that are unsafe. The stairs that do exist in the center don't meet standard codes. You have egress and ingress problems on the back of the property. And then egress problems with the two drives. The city is asking that the east inlet be eliminated, that curb cut be eliminated, and so the parking layout will need to be changed. There are deterioration of site improvements, including the roof, which is to be replaced, windows, frames, and broken glass. Doors are in poor condition. You have failure of finishes and deterioration of stone walls on the perimeter of the property. You can see windows on the interior, and you can see the metal paneling that's evident on the exterior of the building on the east and west side there. Doors that are in bad condition. Windows that are boarded. Some graffiti, and then deterioration of the stone walls as well. We find that the property meets all three cause factors, and also then as an economic and social liability. As we go to the next slide, that has been vacant for some years, for at least 4, perhaps as long as 10 years. There is a low assessed value of building improvements per square foot, $9.21 per square foot for the subject building, whereas other nearby comparable improved buildings, new construction and renovation typically range between $54 and $61 per square foot. Social liability due to the non-existent building and life safety systems and the improvements not satisfying modern code and standards. And so we recommend that there is a finding of blight for the property.
This proposed urban renewal plan and the blight study, what has been considered by the LCRA and approved by the LCRA and is being forwarded to you all and City Council for consideration of approval. Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners to city, or not city staff, but the applicant?
I think this is almost always the case, but just to be sure, when applicants come in search of a blight finding, is it 99% of the time for redevelopment, or is it ever to make it, to pave the way for demolition?
Most of the time, in my recollection, we have not actually seen any demolition of a blighted building. We've seen historic rehabs or adaptive reuse of existing buildings, but I don't recall any cases where a building was actually demolished to clear the site for redevelopment.
Seems like a longer way towards demolition, but I was just curious.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioners online? Okay. Let's see, with that, we got to open it up for public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket item number 2, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon.
There are no hands raised online.
Okay, we'll close public testimony then. Anything else to add at this time?
No,
Okay. With that, I'll take a motion, please.
Chair
Yeah.
Corral, I move to approve docket item number 2 without conditions and acknowledging the finding of blight on the property.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second for the finding of blight and approval of docket item 2. Margaret, can you take roll call on that motion, please?
Crow,
Aye.
Enders.
Aye.
Forbes.
Aye.
Passick.
Aye.
Lynch.
Aye.
Morale.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Looks like the motion passes then. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Yep, good luck as
Thank
you
you.
move forward. All right, let's move on to docket item 3, please.
Docket item 3 is case CD SUP 2026-21. A request to approve an outdoor venue for the Roy Blunt Luminary Park on about 6.82 acres, generally located over I-670 between Wyandotte Street and Grand Boulevard. And Larissa Chambi is the staff planner for this case.
All right, good morning, Larissa Chambi, City Planning and Development. This is a special use permit for the Roy Blunt Luminary Park. This is the subject area. It's straddling or right on top of I-670. And then a closer look, the parcels highlighted in yellow are the 4 blocks that will occupy the park area. And then just a closer look at the zoning districts for the parcels. We have a mixture of UR, DX-15, and DC-15. So this is an overview of what those 4 blocks will look like. Essentially, the applicant is going to cap 670 and place this park on top. But we are here for the special use permit for the performance pavilion. And so just a quick overview of what the park will have, but then we'll jump into that special use permit criteria. And so block 1 is from Wyandotte Street to Baltimore Avenue, and this has some park area and pedestrian trails. And then block 2 is from Baltimore to Main Street, and that also includes park area, pedestrian trails, the park restaurant and restroom highlighted in red, and a play structure highlighted in yellow. Block 3 is from Main Street to Walnut Street. This includes park area, pedestrian trails, and the performance pavilion. This pavilion requires a special use permit for an outdoor event center. And this block also includes Walnut Street. The applicant is proposing to close Walnut Street and create a pedestrian bridge. And so you can see that it's highlighted in a slightly yellow color, and that would be Walnut Street. And then block 4 is from Walnut Street to Grand Boulevard. And this area includes park area, pedestrian trails, and then a food hall as well. And so some elevations, we have a tunnel services elevation. We also have just a couple buildings proposed on these parcels. So they are a mixture of CMU and terracotta rain screen, and then some storefront windows to add transparency to these buildings. And I didn't put all of the elevations on there, but I did just want you to get a kind of a feel of what these buildings will look like. And then here is the outdoor pavilion as well. And then here's more of a rendering of what that park will look like. You can see the play structure on block 2, the outdoor pavilion on block 3, and then that food hall on block 4. And so all of the structures on block 4 do have to comply with our Boulevard and Parkway standards. And the applicant is working with us on getting it to comply or to get some variances as well. And so that kind of transitions to our approval criteria for the special use permit. Does it comply with all the applicable standards of the zoning and development code? It does not, because the development code has very strict standards for downtown development to increase height and density. And of course, this is a park. And so the applicant is requesting for some variances to that section of code. And then criteria B, is it in the interest of the public convenience? This will not have a significant adverse impact on the general welfare of the neighborhood or community. It's increasing green space in the downtown area and is going to bring more pedestrians to enjoy that outdoor space and increase movement throughout the area as well. And so is this compatible with the character of the surrounding area in terms of site planning? Again, this is fairly unique. So it is not very compatible, but the use itself of the outdoor pavilion is very compatible with the area. We have event venues in the blocks that surround the proposed park area. And criteria E, the applicant is proposing multiple pedestrian trails and is closing down Walnut to create that pedestrian bridge. So they are increasing the pedestrian safety in the area. And some views from the blocks looking down at 670, it is difficult to get a good look at it, so you'll just have to bear with me. But this is from Wyandotte Street looking northeast. And then from Main Street and South Truman Road, you can see that highway there. And then this is Walnut Street. This is proposed to be closed off. The applicant is proposing bollards to increase that pedestrian safety. And then a view from Grand Boulevard looking directly at the I-670. There are some conditions to remove on this application, and I will let the applicant go into some more detail, but I can pull this screen up when we're ready to move forward. The first batch is conditions 16 through 22, and these are from our Public Works Department. And then 27 through 29, which are from our Water Services Department, and both departments are online as well if you have questions after the applicant presentation. And so with that, staff does recommend approval with conditions. And I can answer any questions if you have them.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners regarding docket item 3?
No questions, but Chairman, I'll go ahead and err on the safe side and recuse myself on this docket item.
Okay. All right, let's welcome the applicant then. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners. Jeff Martin with the City Manager's Office. Have with me Mark Niebling with the BNIM, the architect on this project for us that we're working here today. So really a monumental project here. This is a capital improvement project being speared by the City Manager's Office, and really a partnership between the city, the Downtown Council, and Port KC. Really a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reclaim a connection between downtown and the neighborhoods to the south, east, and west here. So when I-670 was constructed back in the 60s, really divided, created that canyon across downtown. And so this is an opportunity to reconnect those and provide a lot of amenities for those living, visiting, utilizing downtown, and really, like I said before, reconnecting those particular neighborhoods. So this project will actually create over 6 acres of green space in the downtown area, which is very limited in this area as it is now. This will include, as Larissa mentioned, pathways throughout, trees, plantings, green infrastructure to collect rainfall. We have a playground area on the blocks, gathering places for people to enjoy the outside and really utilize the space, as well as the market hall and the performance pavilion, which is a part of the special use permit here today. So, with this performance pavilion will allow activation of this area. So part of that partnership between the city, Downtown Council, and Port KC will be entering into, or actually have entered into agreement for Downtown Council's Community Development Incorporated to operate and manage the park amenities within this project for us. So the activation of this park is really key to the upkeep, utilization, and really the benefit of everyone involved. So within this performance pavilion, we'll be able to have different activities free to the public, many of them, whether it's yoga in the park, maybe it's a book class, perhaps it's a children's dance performance, maybe the opera comes and has a one-off performance down here to really gain traction for their performances. So really allow a lot of activation within here, keeping the project usable, get a lot of foot traffic down here, allow for gatherings and overall use of this. So you can see kind of some renderings here that show how this really fits within the space within here. So end up spanning from Wyandotte all the way over to Grand Boulevard with this, with that area between Main and Grand being what we refer to as our super block, with that closure of Walnut, allowing for a large lawn space for people to gather, to watch those performances, and to just generally hang out and enjoy the weather during here in Kansas City. So let's see. In response, so here's kind of some ideas that we've been working with Downtown Council on, and their activation of it shows kind of how this performance pavilion will be utilized for activations, for activities within the public, really across the board to get activity in this area and really activate it. So it's another rendering of the performance pavilion, kind of give a size of its scale and its structure with representation of the pedestrians next to it there. So that is the general presentation regarding the performance pavilion and the space. Regarding the removal of some of the conditions. So with this being a capital improvement project, actually a contract held by the city, so many of these conditions would apply more to developer-driven type improvements. So within this, we will actually fall under the city's MS4 permit. So we'll have requirements within the contract to meet all of those requirements, and there's no sanitary sewer extensions. We'll be connecting into the existing sanitary sewer systems with our laterals, connecting our water service lines into the existing water mains out there. We also do have some water main replacement and water main extensions within this particular project, but it's being coordinated directly with and reviewed by water services staff for those. So obviously there's a large amount of landscape improvements within the park. And so we will work directly within the city requirements as governed by the city standards for the landscaping, for replacement of the sidewalks immediately adjacent to and surrounding the park area. And so many of the conditions applied really do not apply for this particular project, since it is a capital improvement project for the city. So be happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Okay, any questions from commissioners?
I have a handful of questions, and I'm not sure how applicable they are, but I haven't seen this project in this detail, and so you might have to steer me if these are just the wrong questions for this setting. As you all think about the venue space or the pavilion space, so there will be restrooms, public restrooms available, essentially one block in either direction. And then what's the total count of those? It looks like there are 4 restrooms in the public restroom.
Yeah, there's 4 restrooms on block 2, and then there are 6 restrooms on block 4.
So block 2 is the play block there between Baltimore and Maine.
And then how many in the food hall, you said?
6.
And so I don't know how these ratios work, but if there's you gave examples of different types of activation of that space. I imagine some would be smaller, some would be larger. On the larger scale, would you all anticipate that downtown council would want to supplement with temporary restroom structures, or is it scaled so that it's kind of will absorb any scenario if it's like a full packed event?
The operational intent is that they would provide additional restrooms for large scale events.
And then in terms of the height of it, so there's a small rendering on the staff report, and then you all just in that presentation had a rendering. What's the anticipated height of it? And then what I'm curious about again is kind of just getting a scale, since you showed a variety of types of events that could happen. I'm trying to think about if you had a lot of people, what visibility would be for someone, like how many people could potentially fill the area? How big of an event could it be? I mean, I hope that it's a lot, but looking at this, it makes me feel that the stage is really short, and so therefore it'd be hard. As soon as you get 5 rows of people, a kid wouldn't be able to enjoy whatever is on stage.
Yeah, so the stage size is 30 feet by 40 feet. The height of the proscenium is about 19 feet tall. The stage is about 30 inches above the Walnut Street surface. So for standing crowds in that location, they have a view. And then the lawn on block 4 that slopes from Walnut up to the restaurant on Grand, it is sloping up towards Grand. So those sight lines are considered.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of the benefit of having it located where it is. Walnut's actually the low point within this project, so it slopes up in a way as you move away from it in both directions. So that having that great lawn and that block to the east really allows for us to get kind of an amphitheater type effect.
That's great. And then one last question. is it intentionally designed to be facing either direction if there's a smaller?
It is.
Okay,
Yeah,
very
so the
cool.
intent is that there could be smaller performances facing towards the west.
Great, thank you.
What is the capacity of the park around it? The lawn?
I don't have that in front of me right now.
I do not either, so.
I can probably find it.
We're looking at all our resources and no one has that number off the top of their head, so.
The only real question I have is, once the park is built, who actually operates it and maintains it? Who mows the grass? Who keeps the trees pruned? Who keeps the restrooms cleaned and those kind of things?
So that will be the Downtown Council Community Development Incorporated. So we have an agreement with them that they will operate the park, program the park for the city. So it'll continue to be owned by the city, but operated, maintained by the 501c3 operated underneath the Downtown Council. So
We'll have plenty of yellow jackets down there. Is that what you're saying?
yep,
Perfect.
that is the intent, and
Okay.
they may even get some different colored jackets for especially Brandon. We've got some great logos with the luminaires coming off of it on the blue field. So, but we'll see what Ann, Bill, and Sean come up with for that. So.
I actually have another question too. What are the hours of operation?
So have not been completely determined yet. So we will work with Downtown Council and obviously City Plan Development on that the aspect. But it will be considering of the space around it to ensure that we don't disturb obviously the residences immediately adjacent to this and the activities in the area. So
thank you.
Yep.
I did find those counts if you want to know. The maximum is about 2,000 people.
Okay.
That's at 1 to 6. At 1 to 10, which is blanket seating on the lawn, it's more like 1,200, 1,250.
Thank you.
I guess can you talk about your stormwater system? You've got a major tanks on the south side, and so I assume there's a lot of cleaning of that. You're going to use it for irrigation at some point, and no irrigation.
So the stormwater system will actually convey the rainfall that falls within the park to our rain garden areas within there. We currently do not have it set up to irrigate the system with that rainfall water, but we will have plantings that we utilize that runoff for them directly before they are essentially metered back into the combined sewer area within there. So, and with that, we're actually capturing that rainfall as it works its way through the lawn area to obviously used by the grasses, the trees that are within there. Whereas right now, all that water would simply fall onto I-670 and go directly into the stormwater system. So we are actually redoing the stormwater system on I-670 as well as constructing some additional conveyance for future use by the Water Service Department within their improvements. So.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Commissioner Lynch, anything? Okay, let's open it up for public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket item number 3, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Ann Holliday, Vice President of Strategic Initiatives with the Downtown Council. First of all, I want to thank you all for everything you do. City Plan Commission is hard work. I want to thank the city for their leadership on the Luminary Park project, and just quickly want to maybe remind everyone that this project is a key part of our strategic plan for downtown, the Imagine Downtown KC 2030 strategic plan, which was a community-wide project. It's not just the Downtown Council's plan. So we're excited to see the city moving forward, and we're excited to be a partner. We're currently working regularly on this with the city, and we look forward to working on the operations and programming, and specifically related to the performance pavilion. We are working and will be working more to really kind of fine tune how this fits within the existing ecosystem of open spaces and another performance places in downtown. So we want to fit in that ecosystem and not compete with the existing ones. And we really see this as the space where the entire community and nonprofits and cultural organizations throughout the city will be able to showcase their skills and their cultures. So thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay. With that, we'll close public testimony then. Anything else to add at this time?
Nope, nothing this time. I appreciate your support for this.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we can speak amongst the commission. If there's nothing to discuss, I'll take a motion, please.
Chair Crowell, I move to approve docket item number 3 with conditions, removing conditions 16 through 22 and removing conditions 27 through 29.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second for approval of docket item number 3 with the removal of conditions 16 through 22 and 27 through 29. So Margaret, can you take roll call on that motion, please?
Crowell,
Aye.
Enders.
Aye.
Forbes,
Aye.
Lynch,
Aye.
Morale,
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Looks like the motion passes. Thanks for bringing this in. Great project. Can't wait to see it in
Thank you all.
action. Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right. With that, we'll move to docket item 4, and I need to step out for a little bit. Maybe you'll be done by the time I get back.
Docket item number 4 is case CD CPC 2026-36. A request to approve a historic overlay designation for the Bancroft Apartments to the Kansas City Register of Historic Places on about 0.356 acres generally located at 4301 Troost Avenue. Cindy Trevisano is our celebrity guest for this from Community Planning, and Alec is assisting her.
Duplicate.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Cindy Trevisano from Community Planning Division in City Planning and Development Department. This is a application for Historic Overlay District, which would designate this property on the local Kansas City Register of Historic Places at 4301 Troost Avenue. The site is located in the 3rd District, and that's in the Midtown Plaza area plan. So the property is here on the southeast corner of 43rd Street and Troost Avenue. It's the northern part of the parcel where the building to be designated. And just a note, the aerial on the left, the house in the bottom left corner has been demolished since this aerial photo was taken. But the building in question on the right here was built in 1913 by architect Arthur T. Sparks. It's a 3-story mixed-use apartment building in classical revival style. Here's some views from 43rd Street and from Troost Avenue. This building is a good example of a Kansas City working and middle-class apartment building of the early 20th century. And today represents an affordable missing middle housing type in Kansas City. There have just been a few alterations, including the addition that you can see on the photo on the left in the 1950s. That addition was built. Just a quick overview of the building kind of components here. On the ground floor, there's 2 main commercial spaces, and the upper 2 floors each have 4 apartments. Some photos of the interior today, just for reference, really, because the historic overlay will not, does not apply to the interior of the building. So the Bancroft Apartments meets the National Register criteria for listing, and it's eligible under Criterion C in architecture and as part of the working class and middle income apartment buildings in Kansas City, Missouri. And important, actually, I'll come back to that. So there's no real economic impact to note here. And as far as city adopted plans and policies, the designation does align with recommendations in the Midtown Plaza area plan, specifically this portion of Troost, which is described as a multimodal neighborhood serving mixed-use corridor. It also furthers playbook goals by rehabbing a historic building and adding housing diversity and affordability through missing middle housing. The Historic Preservation Commission reviewed this case on January 30th and recommended approval, and staff also recommends approval. And one important note I meant to mention is that the applicant for this case is Heritage Consulting Group, and they are representing and were hired by the owner.
Great, thank you. Any questions for city staff? Seeing none, we will open this up for public testimony.
Well, the applicant is
Oh.
online. If you have,
Separate, yeah,
want to speak to them.
that'd be great. We'll welcome the applicant.
Do I close this?
Mr. Martell, if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Hi, good morning. I don't have any additional testimony or comments at this time, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission has or any members of the public.
Any questions for the applicant?
I was just curious, how is the current condition of the structure? Is it?
I'm sorry, you cut out just a little bit there at the end.
How is the condition of the structure currently?
To my knowledge, the structure has not, the condition has not changed since those photos were taken. If the owner, I don't see the owner on here, they might have some additional information, but I haven't had a chance to look at the building closely since the application was filed.
All right, if there are no further questions for the applicant and if the applicant is done with any presentation, we will open it up for public testimony. If there's anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item, please either come forward or raise your hand on Zoom.
We have no hands raised online.
All right, we'll close all public testimony. Applicant, is there anything else you'd like to add? All right.
Not at this time.
Great, thank you. With that, then I'll look for a motion.
Go ahead and make the motion. Motion to approve docket item number 4 without conditions.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve docket item number 4 without conditions. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, the project passes. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're now ready for docket item number 5.
Docket item number 5 is case CD CPC 2026-15, a request to approve a rezoning from District R5 to District B3-2 on about 0.3 acres generally located at the northwest corner of Westport Road and Bell Street. And Justin Smith is the staff planner for this case.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Smith, City Planning and Development. In front of you is a rezoning request located at 1700 Westport Road. The site is located within the 4th District within the Volker neighborhood and the boundaries of the Midtown Plaza area plan. Closer look at the site, you can see it's located just right off Westport Road in between Bell Street and Genesee Street. The site is made up of 3 parcels, but highlighted in yellow is the boundary of the church site. As you can see from the zoning line, the parcel is split zoned from B3-2 and R5. The church currently operates a daycare out of that, and they're looking to expand and add more attendees. So the request today is to rezone the remainder of the parcels from R5 to B3-2 to match the existing zoning on the south side of the site. As you can see from the zoning and development code here highlighted, to operate more than 21 enrollees, the B3 zoning would allow that. The current R5 currently only allows up to 20 with a special use permit. One condition that we did have when we met with the applicant was to consolidate all of the properties so we could map that. So it's all one lot. That had been done, but the city just hasn't mapped it. So on my screen here is a city verified lot. So all the lots have been consolidated. Here's a view looking from Westport Road. One of the questions that were brought up was the circulation plan. So looking here, if you can see this drive approach is where you'll exit onto Bell Street. And then this is where you'll enter. And so that's the circulation of the site. But with that, staff recommends approval of the rezoning, and I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll welcome the applicant.
Morning. My name is Bill Moore. I'm an attorney with Rouse Fretz, White Goss, Gentile Rhodes Law Firm located at 801 West 47th Street, Kansas City, Missouri. Here on behalf of the applicant, do want to let you know that I am also a member of Emmanuel Lutheran Church and also a member of the Building Use Committee, hence the reason I'm here in front of you today. So I think Justin did a very nice job of explaining what our situation is and what our request is. I can just give you a little bit of history. There was an expansion to the property where we built what we call Luther Hall that occurred maybe, I don't know, 12, 15 years ago. At the time, it didn't seem like a necessary step to go ahead and consolidate all of the zoning into one designation until recently when we were approached by another individual who wanted to operate an infant daycare center in our facility. So when we started looking at it, this was a year ago, when we started looking at it, we soon discovered that it wasn't going to work because where we wanted to locate that facility was in the residential zoning classification. So we started the process to rezone into the single designation to allow us to pursue those opportunities. That's about all I have to present to you this morning. Certainly we'll answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we will open it up for public testimony. Is there anyone wishing to speak on docket item number 5? Please either come forward or raise your hand online.
There are no hands raised online.
We'll close public testimony. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Great. With that, I'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve docket item number 5 without conditions.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve docket item number 5 without conditions. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Docket item number 5 is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're now ready for docket item number 6.
Docket item number 6 is case CD CPC 2026-16. A request to approve a rezoning for a parcel that is split zoned between R 1.5 and B 3-2 to an overall B 3-2 zoning district on about 10.9 acres generally located at 5100 Ararat Drive. Alec Gustafson is the staff planner. And here he comes.
The applicant should be Tim Longobardo, who I believe will raise his hand.
I'll promote him to panelist.
Okay. Good morning, Planning Commission. Alec Gustafson, Development Management Division. Before you is docket item number 6, CDCPC 2026-16. This is the Bellow Coast Church rezoning. The site is at 5100 Ararat Drive. It's in the former Ararat Shriners building, the second of 2 Shriners buildings that has existed in Kansas City. The site is just, it's split zone between B3-2 and R1.5. Surrounding areas are B4-5, B4-2, and residential to the northwest, which is R7.5. This rezoning application is to rezone the whole parcel from the split zoned B3-2 to R1.5 to a contiguous B3-2 zoning district. There is no area plan amendment required for it. However, in conversation with the applicant, there is possible for development plan in the future. A little bit of case/site history. Ordinance number 38328 was in June 1970 was rezoning the district from R1A, one family dwelling, and CP-2, planned local business, to District C2 local business, and from District R1A to R4. So it's been split zoned for pretty much the lot's almost entire existence. In 2011, the Zoning and Development Code changed to the current rezoning and zoning types that we have now. And then in December of last year, a zoning compliance case was opened in response to a neighborhood complaint about businesses operating out of the warehouses in the rear of the property in the B3-2 section of this parcel, where the church is partly in the R1.5 and slightly in the B3-2. This caused a little bit of a problem with 88/4/2013. Any access to off-street parking areas that serve non-residential uses may not traverse residentially zoned property. So if there were going to be business uses in the warehouse area, which is circled here on this screen, anyone going to those businesses, any clientele or anything, would not be able to traverse the R1.5 zoning district. And currently, that's the only way they could get through to the B3-2 commercial uses. So rezoning the property will allow them to be able to use this warehouse building as commercial if they so choose. However, it's possible it would be entirely possible that they would need a development plan to be able to use that warehouse as a commercial structure, since there would then be 2 principal structures on the lot with 2 uses and potentially multiple uses if it becomes a multi-tenant space. There were a couple of different options that we talked about with the applicant team. But right now we're leaning towards a B3-2 full rezoning to allow for the contiguous zoning and the use of it as commercial. However, a development plan would be required because it would be two principal structures on one lot. Of course, we talked about splitting the property, but then that would create other, certain issues, such as potentially needing another access off of Ararat Drive to get to those commercial uses. So right now, we're moving forward with the rezoning as it stands, with the potential for a development plan in the future. This is just a view of Bellicose Church, the former Ararat Shrine, from Ararat Drive. And then this is looking east from Ararat Drive. You can see this is in the B4-2 section. It's AB May facility. And then looking southeast from Ararat Drive, there's a car wash and some other commercial uses. And then looking northeast from Ararat Drive shows some of the residential uses. And then to the northwest, there's more residential uses that border the property. When we look at our review criteria, I just wanted to highlight the zoning and use of the nearby property, the suitability of the subject property for uses to which it has been restricted under the existing zoning regulations, the extent to which approving the rezoning will be detrimentally affected nearby properties, if at all, and the gain to public health, safety, and welfare due to the denial of an application as compared to the hardship imposed upon the landowner, if any, as a result for denial of the application. I just wanted to highlight those really quickly, and I'll have to look at my staff report. So for B, I just wanted to touch on that the surrounding properties to the north and west are zoned R.75 and are residential with a variety of residential building types. The property to the east is zoned B4-5 and B4-2, contains a mix of commercial uses and building types. The property to the south is zoned B3-2 and is institutional and commercial with a fire station and a mixture of other commercial uses. So I just wanted to touch on that so that we could recognize that there are other zoning districts that are similar to the B3-2 use, and any commercial structures that would be in that warehouse could be contextual. And then I will go to criteria E, which is the suitability of the subject property. Under the current zoning regulations, the use of the religious assembly is permitted, as well as storage for the religious assembly use if they were to use that warehouse as storage. It would be permitted under the R1.5 and the B3-2 because it would be accessory to the religious use. However, since the property hopes to apply for a development plan potentially after this rezoning to allow the warehouses to be used commercially, the rezoning, that development plan would not be possible without a rezoning. And as I spoke earlier, 88-4-2013C, which does not allow for residential zonings to be traversed in order to get to commercial uses on the same lot. And then I wanted to touch on the extent to which approving the rezoning will detrimentally affect nearby properties. The rezoning of the subject site from B3-2 is not necessarily expected to detrimentally affect nearby properties. The rezoning will not change the site's ability to continue as a religious assembly and will not change the warehouse's ability to be used as church storage. However, since we've been made aware of the potential neighborhood concern for the conversion of the warehouse to the commercial use with a future development plan, we recognize that there's been neighborhood concern. So I just wanted to touch on that as far as turning those warehouses into commercial uses. But the rezoning would still be necessary if that were to happen. And then I just wanted to touch on the gain to the public health, safety, and welfare. There is a gain expected for the public health, safety, or welfare if this rezoning is denied, as the public has expressed their concern for the potential future addition of commercial uses through a development plan. But should the rezoning be denied, the owner would still be able to continue operating the church as normal and would not be permitted to use the warehouses as anything other than storage for their church. So with that, I can take any questions you may have, and the applicant's online. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Are there questions for city staff? Did you get a good sense of the complaints or the activity that led to the complaints on the property?
What I've understood from what the applicants told me, and then it was a coffee shop at one point in that warehouse, and there had been robberies, I guess, or break-ins of that coffee shop, which then concerned the neighborhood surrounding to the northwest.
So a coffee shop like roasting, and they had equipment, and someone sold the equipment, not customers coming to the
I'm not sure what the extent of that. I would defer to the applicant on that.
And then, strange hypothetical, which might not be an appropriate question to ask, but if the zoning was switched and the R15 parcel was actually the B32 parcel, and vice versa, would your recommendation perhaps be different? Because, does that make sense?
Yeah. So if you're saying if what is R 1.5 right now were B3-2, if it were just flipped, I don't believe the recommendation would be different. However, I don't think they would need to potentially rezone because they could, well, if it were R 1.5, they couldn't do commercial uses anyway. So we would be rezoning to B3-2 no matter what.
Yeah, that's kind of, because I'm curious about the conditions that led to the complaints, and so, part of me feels like it's, too heavy a use for a residential area, but if that part is the part that's already zoned B3-2, then it makes sense to zone the R15 part.
Yeah. It's the main sticking point, I guess, is the neighborhood concern right now, I think. And the applicants can speak towards his neighborhood engagement meeting too.
If there are no further questions for city staff, we will welcome the applicant.
Hey guys, my name is Tim. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Alec. So I'm a member of the church. I'm one of the deacons at the church. Alec laid out the zoning split and everything really well. Thank you. We leased out some of the warehouse space to a few local businesses and ended up getting that code violation. It's 88-420-13-C. Code enforcement basically told us that we weren't allowed to drive through the residentially zoned portion of the parking lot to access the business side, even though it's one connected parking lot. But then after talking with planning, that's when we learned that rezoning the property to a single B3-2 designation would be the first step in getting compliant, both for that access piece and then also for leasing out the storage space. So what we're wanting to do is lease storage only space to business tenants, while still holding back one of the warehouse units for church use. So these wouldn't be businesses operating out of the warehouse day to day. It would be storage only, more like a landscaping company that stores their truck and their trailer and their equipment, and their employees come there in the morning, pick that up, go out into the community, and then come back. What we're wanting, Bellicose Church is still working through what we want to do with the warehouse unit that we're holding back for church use. There's been discussions about possibly putting in a basketball court or using it for a homeschool co-op or maybe additional meeting space. And that's really the main reason why we're not submitting a development plan alongside the rezoning request right now. The church just needed more time to reach consensus on the direction for that single unit and then approve the funding that'll be needed to meet the development plan requirements. I can speak a little bit on the public engagement meeting. So we informed about 50 neighbors about the meeting. We had 2 join over the phone. Both participants owned homes that were adjacent to our parcel near the warehouse. The concern was that the rezoning and the use of the warehouse would lead to decreased property values, an increase of crime in the neighborhood, and a potential disturbance of the peace. One of the neighbors explained there's a paper road, a sort of easement between the northeast end of the warehouse and his property. He was really concerned that the church was trying to obtain that and gain a new access road, but I assured him that wasn't part of this application, and nor any interest to the church. We were able to bring some clarity to the use. So the first business that we leased the space to that got the first complaint was a coffee roaster. It was Prefix Coffee. They were just roasting coffee no retail business, no one coming and going outside of 1 or 2 employees. And I think one of the neighbors saw smoke or steam from the exhaust. They were concerned about that. And then later they were broken into, and because those homes are right behind the warehouse, the perpetrators accessed the warehouse through their yards, and so they didn't steal much. They took some coffee beans, and some of the coffee beans and some papers were left in their yard. So the odor, he mentioned the odor of the coffee roasting, but that was learning about that. We learned about that complaint after we had started talking with city planning and learning about what kind of business could be a potential tenant for us. And so that would be a storage only tenant, not an operating business, and that to be compliant with what the building's been permitted for. Let me know if there's any other questions I can answer about those violations or those complaints.
Great, thank you. Approximately how large is the warehousing space, and how many different, is it broken up into different sections, or how do you anticipate using the space in the future?
It's there are 5 different units. It's 12,000 square feet. So there's one larger 4,000 square foot unit, which is the unit that the church is holding back. The others are 2,000 square foot units. Really, just like that example I gave of the landscaper, any business that just needs storage. There's contractor garages, sometimes they're called, in the 1,000 to 2,000 square foot warehouse size, that are this same kind of target tenant. Just folks, a gutter installer. We have a gutter installer that just stores their trailer and comes and goes, does installs, then brings their truck and trailer back. So yeah, kind of learned our lesson with the coffee roasting, and would just have business storage. So really the use, whether it's a tenant using it or the church using it, we really don't see. I tried to explain that to the 2 residents that came to the public engagement meeting, that we're not going to use it in a different way. If a business is storing things versus the church storing things, the actual impact and coming and going and use shouldn't be any different.
Got it. Thank you very much. Question for city staff. So is this type of use considered something different than self-storage warehousing or warehousing? I'm looking at use tables and okay.
I was just about to make that clarification, actually. Yeah. If it's going to be for storage, which that was not necessarily my knowledge at the time, knowing that it would be for storage of the roasters. I guess it was my understanding, maybe there was miscommunication, but my understanding that it was more retail type uses, which is why the B3-2 contiguous use made sense. But the first zoning that would allow for self-storage warehousing would be B4. So that would be a different rezoning than what we have before us today.
Well,
artisan manufacturing and production is permitted in B3. So you could do like small scale coffee roasting.
yeah, and that's what I was wondering, if there's some different lower intensity zoning, but had like the artisan carve out because the spaces are so small. Because I think, in essence, the property has functioned like an R15 because of the protection of the R15 parcel being the one that fronts the road. So you can't actually have, uses that are more intense beyond that parcel. And so it even though the neighbors are already abutting B3-2, it's going to feel like an upzoning from 1.5 to B3-2. And it would be nice if we could find a lower intensity zoning that has the carve out for small, since it's only 2,000 square foot units.
We don't differentiate warehousing and storage based on size.
something we should consider maybe. I mean, just because again, we've run into a few places where people have additional space and they want to allow this exact scenario. And it feels as though this is more of a trend. I forget what they're called, but where people have like their garage space and maybe there's a kitchenette or something, but it's primarily used as storage. Okay, and then the difference between someone using an office space that just happens, I mean, we've all been to an office where it's 90% storage, but it's technically an office, and is the difference there besides the zoning and use and functionality? Does a office technically have to have any physical differences to it in terms of a bathroom on site?
I think you're asking about a building code requirement,
Yeah, I guess so.
and we couldn't speak to that. That would be based on the building occupancy, and that's building code and not something that's governed by the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, because I was wondering if it makes sense for people to lease these spaces as a small office, knowing that, the person who's doing gutters might not do all of his office work actually in the office, but then it more appropriately reflects the intensity of zoning that we would want in this area.
Right.
I mean, I think for this application, I would note just that warehousing is not permitted in B3. And if that's what the applicant wants, then we would need to re-advertise because they cannot request a more intense zoning designation in this hearing.
Yep, fully understand that. And again, my intent would be to go the opposite direction, to go less intense, but still allowing what the future uses are likely going to be. Okay, so with that, probably need to continue it, I'm guessing, so that you can work with the applicant more.
Yeah. We'll talk more about what exactly it is that they're wanting to do. We can talk about going up to B4. We can talk about trying to find a zoning district that'll work, that's less intense, so as to address those neighborhood concerns. But
And applicant, is this conversation making sense, or are you kind of following the discussion?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think after we heard from one of the residents on the coffee roasting, there's no coffee roaster there anymore. So that kind of activity isn't going on anymore. But when we heard that, that's when we thought the best use for that space was going to be more like a contractor garage, just a storage. That we thought that was permissible, given that the building was permitted there for storage anyway. But yeah, that I'm following you guys.
Yeah, what's strange about this unique situation is that the zoning code views this as a higher intensity use, and so you would need to be applying for a higher intensity use, which also allows for a lot of things that neighbors probably would not want. And so although the likely scenario that you've described in terms of your ideal tenant is a lower use in reality, or in the way that people conduct their day-to-day business, through the eyes of the zoning code, it's a very high intensity use, similar to what you see in other more manufacturing-like areas, and that's probably not something that would make sense for rezoning here. So hopefully you can work with Alec to kind of refine what is allowed in the code with B3-2, and then hopefully a way that you can still find economic value of this area, but without upzoning to that degree.
Okay.
and I will say, if we did have to upzone to meet that, it may possibly require an area plan amendment as well. Just an FYI for the applicant.
All right, any other questions for the applicant from the commission? All right, we'll go ahead and open it up for public testimony. If there's anyone from the public wishing to speak on docket item number 6, please come forward or raise your hand on Zoom.
There are no hands raised online.
All right, then we'll close public testimony. Applicant, anything else you'd like to add before we make a motion to continue the case?
No, thank you guys for your time.
Then applicant and Alec, do you all have a sense of what the right date would be to continue this to?
Possibly the first hearing in July. July 3rd. Or June 3rd. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Okay. All right. Then I'll look for a motion to continue the case.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion then to continue docket item number 6 to June 3rd
Without fee?
without fee.
Great, thanks.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to continue docket item number 6 to June 3rd without fee. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Docket item 6 is continued to June 3rd. Thanks, and we'll see you back in a month. We are now ready for docket item number 7.
Docket item number 7 is case CD CPC 2026-26. A request to approve a rezoning from districts R0.5, DC, UR, and M1-5 to district MPD, and approval of a preliminary development plan for public and civic uses, hospital campus, on about 55 acres generally bounded by East 20th Street on the north, East 25th Street on the south, Holmes Street on the east, and Oak Street, Locust Street, and Gillum Road on the west. Olufu Egbaji is the staff planner for this case. I think we're all set.
Good morning. Olufu Egbaji, City Planning and Development. With me is Michael Haig, and go ahead and introduce you.
I'm Adam Zorn, Vice President of Facilities with Children's Mercy.
I've been dealing with Michael, so so again, this docket item number 7 is a request by Children's Mercy for rezoning of their campus. Let me go if I can move this. In the parcel, Children's Mercy Hospital is located just kind of next to Crown Plaza. We'll go to a closer look. Before I go, I want to give you a quick background as we were just talking about rezoning of parcels with multiple zoning. So their overall site, which is about 55 acres, has about 23 existing structures. Again, this is Children's Mercy parcels and their holdings. They have about 5,000 parking spaces right now. Back in 2017, the applicant had come before City Plan Commission at the urging of staff to rezone the holdings of Children's Mercy to an MPD to make reviewing things within this development more cohesive and efficient. But this got continued back in 2017. So they are back, which I think staff is excited about for various reasons. So one of the main obstacles back then was acquisition of land from the city, which was parkland, through the vote of the people to allow for this to occur. One critical point is that within this highlighted area in yellow, just clicking on Compass KC, you will get about 2,000 permits issued for the Children's Mercy Hospital and about 70 plans. Most of those plans are usually variances, and the reason is, again, as you can see with their request, and I'll go through this real quick. If I'm in a hurry, slow me down. Again, Children's Mercy Hospital is located within the Hospital Hill. And the request is to rezone 55 acres from District R0.5, which is residential, DC, which is downtown core, UR, and M1-5 to District MPD. So whenever we do anything within that campus, we are dealing with these multiple zonings: residential, commercial, downtown, and UR, and industrial. And then again, the area described, as you can see, this is the area, again, within Hospital Hill, Crown Plaza just across the street, Union Station, and Liberty Memorial. You can see this site is also bisected by the railroad tracks. So there is a vacant remote parking lot. It's I did add a condition to deal with that. It's just an existing parking, surface parking that's used for employee that's shuttled to the site. So what this MPD does not do is does not act as a preliminary plat, so there's no platting involved, and it only grants entitlement that allows the zoning and creates all the lot and creates a new lot and building standard under the MPD, and also approves a wayfinding signage for the hospital. There are stories about getting to the ER, getting lost, and things that have happened at the site. Any major amendment to this within this MPD that's not shown on here will require City Council approval. The uses within the MPD, we are going with DX15, and we're also through this MPD allowing MPD final plan in lieu of special use permit for hospitals. We're also allowing existing uses to remain. It doesn't change anything. Everything that's there stays as is. And then we are also through this plan allow current ongoing projects to proceed as phase 0. We'll be meeting with the hospital to advance what they're proposing to do. And as long as they can be approved within the current zoning, they're moving ahead as phase 0 unless they require the MPD. And I don't think we have any project that requires the MPD at all. We're just moving forward as is. And for future development, whether it's preliminary or final plat, anything that requires, again, amendment, we have to go through the full project. Again, I did talk about the structures, and I did talk about the acquisition. If you look at the current zonings sorry, this is kind of small, but those are the zoning that kind of butt up to the current parcel or the current boundary. So this MPD plan would also allow for demolition and construction, demolition of some existing structures to allow for construction of about 1.5 million square feet of medical office, tower, garage, office, administrative buildings, and those are going to be between 5 to 20 stories tall. It also provides or recommends requests vacation of East 23rd Street, East 24th Street, East 25th Street, and Kenwood Avenue. So the vacation is being requested for multiple reasons, not just because of the setback, but because during the campus, they're also going to have multiple structures for, I think, sky bridges, multiple encroachments that will be coming. They will be providing towers and parking garages. And when you do that, you usually provide cross skywalks from those garages to the parking to the actual office towers. We're also vacating Locust, which is the main entry to the site. Part of this MPD is that all the project plans and final plans shall abide by the development guidelines and design guidelines within the greater downtown area plan. I did talk about the parking lot that's not of the railroad tracks, and I've asked the applicant to label that as existing to remain, and then any future plans for that will require major amendment to the MPD plan. There's also an attached overall signage plan, and that will be approved and attached to the MPD plan moving forward. And the reason is that Gillam Road, and East 22nd Street are on major boulevards, existing established boulevards within the jurisdiction of the Parks and Recreation Department. So they'll be heavily involved in any signage and wayfinding with that. And once we get that approved by the park boards, we will attach it to the MPD plan. We did go through the criteria for the rezoning, for the zoning code amendment 515. We also went through the development plan review criteria, and then we went through the MPD criteria. And is a look at the proposed wayfinding sign. So I did ask for hierarchy of signage in terms of where they're located and what they're showing, and how they're able to then direct people through the site to make it more navigable for both motor vehicles and pedestrian. I do have two additional conditions, and I'll explain that in a minute. So the first one is that the developer work with Parks and Rec Department to ensure that there is adequate pedestrian facility on Gillam Road with the proposed gateway entry rework. So I think this is kind of hard to see, but Locust Street, which is proposed to be vacated, is within the Hospital Hill Parks area. So they're proposing to vacate this and then now do what would be a drive entry and a gateway entry that looks with the highlighted into the hospital as the main entry from Gillam. So it will no longer, the address to the hospital is on Gillam. Locust Street is an existing right-of-way that provides access to the hospital. So to do a new entry feature into the hospital, they are proposing to vacate Locust Street and then create what you see here. During that process, staff wants to make sure that we have enough pedestrian, we deal with pedestrian access to the site, just not the hospital side, then that then flows into future what will be to accommodate what's happening around the area, which and potential future baseball park across the street. So we want to make sure that they take that into account as they do that. So the right-of-way for Gillam starts from just this Locust Street all the way to the other side of Gillam Road. And that will be worked out with parks. I just want to make sure that we do address that pedestrian facility as that comes through. The other condition I added as I was putting in my map today, I realized that back in 2017, 2018, when they constructed the research tower at the southeast corner of Locust and 23rd Street, they did acquire this area on my left side, highlighted in blue. That was the parcel that they acquired from the parks from the city of Kansas City to then allow the encroachment into that. What they never did was actually move this property line to have that within the hospital's property. So I am adding a condition that the parcel obtained from Parks Board be consolidated by deed at Jackson County prior to City Council approval of this MPD plan. I'm going to work with them to get, it's just to make sure that a deed goes. We do have the legal description of what they acquired from the city, and we will use that legal description now to then merge it with the existing holding of the hospital. So those are my two additional conditions. Staff's recommendation, again, is for approval, subject to what will be now under 50 conditions. That ends my presentation, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission for city staff?
Yeah, can you go back to condition 49? Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? If there are none, we will welcome the applicant.
Good morning. I'm Mike Hake. I'm with Walter P. Moore. Actually, virtually, we have Jackie Foy with HDR on the call. I think Jackie will work through or walk us through some of the more kind of technical specifics of what we're planning here. But just overall, what Olofu was saying, we started this MPD process about 7 or 8 years ago under the recommendation of city staff to kind of streamline the review and permitting process. So here we are, going through that process. I can be going through this with facility staff and HDR and Jackie. None of the uses of what we're using out there changes. It's still going to be parking garages, hospitals, medical office buildings, that type of thing. So, is Jackie online?
Yes, I will promote Jackie to panelist.
Jackie's part of the applicant group here for us.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I will introduce myself. I'm Jackie Foy with HDR Architecture, and we're working with Mike and Adam on the MPD for Children's Mercy. And just welcome to be able to give you guys a little bit more background on what we're trying to achieve with the MPD. So first and foremost, as Olofu described, the goal is to really rezone the campus, and that started, as Mike pointed out, in 2017, to try to rezone away from the residential zoning that they currently sit in to a more suitable zoning district. And so that is one of the big efforts behind the MPD. We have spent considerable time reviewing this plan with both the city and the Parks Department, since much of the property around and adjacent to Children's Mercy is Parks property. We have had really good conversations with the park on how they would like to see Locust utilized and vacated and maintained. And we did also conduct a public hearing with the neighbors. We did have a large neighbor contingency this time around in terms of letters that went out. Major neighbors include UMKC, University Health, as well as Ronald McDonald, and some other neighbors on the Hospital Hill. But with the addition of apartments and condos to the north of the surface parking lot, we did have quite a larger list this time around with individual owners and neighbors. We did have 2 people attend our public hearing meeting, and their conversation was very much around the development on the parking lots as well as pedestrian access in general, specifically on Gillum as well as 22nd Street. And so that is something that the hospital is very much open to and something that we had already intended to plan. So as Olofu noted, that condition with improved pedestrian access on Gillum is something that we are very open to and excited to be able to consider in the future. One additional thing I will point out on the MPD is that the hospital continues to work through strategic planning. And so that they are trying to demonstrate open and transparently with the city any long-term potential planning that might come up and some reasonable intent and phasing. So the goal really is to be more proactive with the city and how we plan and how we can work together, not only with planning department, but also the other entities within the city. Fire department and the fire chief have been key components to development on Hospital Hill for Children's Mercy over the last couple of years to ensure access, as well as a consolidated fire command center. So those conversations are still things that we continue to have with them even beyond the MPD work. I'm happy to answer any additional questions around the MPD, but we're excited to be able to finally move this forward and have the campus rezoned to match the uses on the Hill.
Thank you. Could you give us a sense of, in broad strokes, the intended phasing of future development?
Yeah, so within the MPD, there's several phases that are indicated. As Olofu mentioned, there are a few projects currently ongoing. And so those will be updated and noted as phase 0. So those will essentially be active projects. Phase 1 is likely within the next year to 3 years. And then the remaining phases subsequently will happen in likely a similar time frame. So, 6 years, 12 years, 15 years, kind of going out So what you're seeing reflected in the MPD is really long-term planning for the campus. Again, we understand that any major changes to that will go through a major development, and we would work through planning at that time, since some of these projects do have a pretty long horizon in terms of decades rather than years.
Would you be able to point me to the right sheet to look at for the phasing?
Yes, I believe it is the third sheet within the set.
The proposed development.
Yes.
I think one has an aerial, one does not, as I recall.
Oh, okay, I can see. Great.
And all the phases on there are shown in red to highlight where those
We have
projects would exist.
And then we have a little table on the bottom left, I believe, that kind of shows the dates and sizes and whatnot.
Perfect. Thank you. Are there
You're
other
welcome.
questions for the applicant?
I do have one thing to note. With the vacation and the realignment of Locust Street, it looks like on that south end, it's still connecting into Gillum at a very sharp angle. Is that shown accurately?
It is.
Yes. You
Oh,
want me to take that,
sorry, go ahead.
Jackie? Oh, okay.
Well,
So yeah, so the Parks Department and our design team have been actively engaged on how we're going to um, manage Locust and Gill on there. One of the thoughts is to close that connection off, that intersection, just due to the site distance issues. We're still working our way through that. But yes, that is something we are considering.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad that that's something that you're looking into because I have personal experience with dealing with that intersection on a daily basis, and it is not fun. So yeah, as long as you guys are aware of it and we're working through it, I
Yeah, definitely. We are aware of both vehicular and pedestrian issues near 25th and Gillum, as well as where you slip up onto Locust. So that is an active conversation, to Mike's point, to try to improve that condition both for cars and people.
Great, thank you. I would add too, there is the bike lane that runs through there, so just an added degree of complexity. So
Yes, exactly.
There aren't any other questions for the applicant at this time. We'll open it up for public testimony. If there's anyone wishing to speak on docket item number 7, please raise your hand on Zoom.
There are no hands raised online.
All right, we will close public testimony. Applicant, anything else you'd like to add?
I don't have anything to add. Thank you,
Yeah.
Adam or Mike.
I think we're good.
Great. Then if there are no further questions, we'll close all testimony and can either discuss, or I'll look for a motion, noting that we have 2 conditions that city staff would like to add.
if nothing else, I'll go ahead and make a motion then. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion then to approve docket item number 7 with the addition of conditions 49 and 50 as stated in the staff presentation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve docket item number 7 with conditions, adding conditions number 49 and 50 as shown in the staff presentation. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The project is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we are now ready for docket item number 8.
Docket item number 8 is case CD SUP 2026-19. A request to approve a special use permit to allow an outdoor entertainment venue in a UR zoning district on about 0.396 acres, generally located at 1105 Hickory Street. Alec Gustafson is the staff planner for this case. And I will promote Jason Eubanks to panelist as the applicant.
Okay, before you now is docket item number 8, CDCPC 2026 00019. It's the In the Lowest Ferns Outdoor Event Venue Special Use Permit. The site is located at 1105 Hickory Street. It's in the West Bottoms. It is within a UR zoning district, and surrounding is an M3-5 and another M3-5 with many historic buildings, as is the character of the West Bottoms Neighborhood Association. The outdoor event space will be adjacent to the historic Crane building. This, just to point out here in this image here, I've highlighted where the actual outdoor event space is going to be on the site. You can see it in green. Currently, there's a couple of cars there, but that's essentially where the outdoor event space will be. A little bit of case/site history. Ordinance number 220555 in June of 2022 was a request to approve a rezoning from DX10 M3-5 and UR to an all-inclusive UR zoning district, which was approved in 2022. And then in July of that same year, a special use permit was approved to an event space for 5 years on the existing site. Since there's already been a special use permit, you can kind of think of this as a little bit of a special use permit renewal. There have also been temporary use permits for the outdoor event space to make sure that it could be used. In 2026, since it expired in, looks like it would have been 2025, they had to get some temporary use permits. So originally we approved one for 45 days, not to exceed May 3rd. But when we needed to continue the case, we had to have them apply for a second temporary use permit, which we made approved with a condition for a period of only 13 days, so that it was within May 3rd and May 17th, so that they could be here at this hearing today. The approved UR plan has a call out that specifically says that each building project will need to conform to the permitted use as allowed by DX. And even though this is an outdoor event space outside of the historic Crane building, we're still going to operate this through a special use permit, as it would call out in the DX zoning district. This is the temporary use plans that they provided, showing that the site will be outside of the Crane building. And then this is the site plan that the applicant provided to me, showing these bicycle barricade road runners to make sure that there are not anyone coming in through anywhere other than the exit, the entrance and the exits. They have a stage, a bar outside, and then there are 6 porta potties for audience members. This is also in conjunction with the In the Lowest Ferns bar, but I will defer to the applicant to talk about the ins and outs of the bar versus the outdoor event space. He also provided that there is plenty of parking around the area for the event space. However, due to 88-420-03A, our new parking standards, there is no parking minimum required for entertainment venues and spectator sport uses within the urban core. Just to go into some of our approval criteria, is the use compatible with the character of the surrounding area in terms of site planning and building scale and project design? I said that the proposed plan does not impact the design, building scale, or site planning of the current site. It's compatible with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. And since it's next to a nationally registered historic site, but they're not actually doing anything with the building itself, it is compatible with the character of the building. And then criteria D is the use compatible with the character of the surrounding area in terms of operating characteristics such as hours of operation, outdoor lighting, noise, and traffic generation. This use has been used as an outdoor events venue in the past for at least since 2022. So there shouldn't be an excess of hours of operation, outdoor lighting, or noise and traffic generation. So with that, staff's recommendation is approval with conditions. I can answer any of your guys' questions. The applicant is online as well.
Thanks. Any questions for city staff? Seeing none, we'll move over to the applicant. Welcome.
Hey, yes, Jason Eubanks here. Appreciate you all having us today. I am joined with some of our additional team members on the virtual phone call. But yeah, really appreciate Alec for leading us through the process. As mentioned, we've been operating at 1105 Hickory for 4 years now. Our current SUP is not set to expire till July of next year, so July of 2027. But as Alec mentioned, we've been operating the outdoor space, which is actually our parking lot, which requires you have to enter or access to enter the building itself at 1105 Hickory space. We've been operating the parking lot for special events through the TUP. So the city is asked to combine those with the renewal of the indoor space for the SUP as well as the outdoor space for the SUP, which should remove the need for the TUPs. Just wanted to go into a little bit of our history a little bit more. Again, we've had this existing SUP since summer of 2022. And then it took about a year and a half later to get the inside space in the Lois Ferns fully open. So we opened in January of 2024 and have been operating without incident since then. As Alex showed on the site map, we are located at the corner of 11th and Hickory Street. And then our parking lot is, you have to walk through that to access the building itself. So it is really combined and it makes sense to combine the SUPs together. Outside of that, I just wanted to mention that we are one of the early businesses in the refresh of the West Bottoms itself. There are other taverns and event spaces that have opened up in the West Bottoms after us, but we are proud to say that we are one of the early ones, and we are under lease for another 4 or 5 years. So we have longstanding plans to remain in the West Bottoms. Open up for any additional questions, but thank you all for the time today.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we're going to now open it up for public testimony. If there's anyone from the public wishing to speak on docket item number 8, please raise your hand on Zoom.
You have no hands raised online.
I will close all public testimony. Applicant, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you. Appreciate you all.
Great. We will close all testimony and I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve docket item number 8 with conditions stated.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve docket item number 8 with conditions. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Docket item number 8 passes. Thank you for the project. We are now ready for docket item number 9.
Docket item number 9 is case CD CPC 2026-35, amending section 88-610-05 regarding reconstruction of non-conforming detached houses after accidental damage or destruction. You get to hear from me on this one this morning. Hopefully that is sharing appropriately. This is a very specific text amendment for you today. Just a little bit of background. First, section 610 of the zoning ordinance refers to nonconformities. Nonconformities are legally established buildings, lots, or uses. They were in compliance with all regulations at the time they were established, but then they're made non-conforming by virtue of changes to the zoning map or the zoning regulations. We do not use the term grandfather when we are referring to the zoning ordinance. If you search, you'll find that it's not used in Chapter 88. We only talk about nonconformities, and those are either legal or illegal. The intent of this section is to recognize that property owners do have an interest in the continued use of their property. Even if we are making changes to our regulations, we want to promote the maintenance, reuse, and rehabilitation of property. We want to have reasonable limits on nonconformities, and we want to secure eventual compliance of development with the standards of the zoning ordinance. We have three types of nonconformities. You can have a nonconforming lot. Often this is the lot was platted and then we change, like for instance, how our minimum lot width, and now you have a lot that's too narrow. That could be a nonconformity. Nonconforming uses, I think you all probably see a lot of these over time. For instance, something is permitted and then we change to require a special use permit. We've got a lot of used auto sales coming through right now that are getting special use permits because they're nonconformities. And then we've got structures. For instance, a lot is a parcel is a single family home is built on it, and then the setbacks change and suddenly it's encroaching on a setback. And that we'll get to that again. Section 610.05E concerns when you lose your nonconforming status that provides you the protection to continue to use it. That can be either intentional damage or destruction or accidental damage. For instance, a fire. When more than 50% of the volume of a structure is destroyed, then the structure has to be rebuilt in conformity with the zoning codes. If less than 50% of the volume is destroyed, then you may rebuild, repair, and you don't have to worry about the nonconformity unless you're increasing it. You have to obtain your building permit within 6 months. You have to diligently pursue your construction. So that allows you to continue to use your nonconforming structure. I don't know if you all remember, but we have had recently, or no, it wouldn't have come before you. We have had recently a variance requested for a home that was damaged by fire. More than 50% of the volume was destroyed. They were encroaching in a setback, in a platted setback. They eventually had to come and get a variance from the BZA to rebuild on the existing foundation, even though it was existing because more than 50% of the volume of the home had been destroyed. So this is a very specific text amendment to address that kind of situation, to say when more than 50%, we're maintaining everything else, but when more than 50% of the volume of a detached house is destroyed, you can maintain that structure when it's not caused by the owner or tenant. There are no new nonconformities being created or increased. The structure remains a detached house. You get your building permit within 1 year, and you're diligently pursuing your construction over time. So only under those circumstances could you maintain the structure and its existing nonconformities. I want to remind you that a detached house is the term that we use for single-family homes. So principal building containing one unit on a single lot, surrounded by private yards. That's the photo that we use for that building type, residential building type in the zoning ordinance. So this would only apply to single-family detached houses, not townhomes, not duplexes, not any other residential building type. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Obviously, staff is recommending approval of this very minor technical change to the zoning ordinance.
Thanks. Any questions for city staff? Is this project waiting on this text?
No, they obtained their variance so that they could, move forward with their project. They'd like to get back in the home. They might be by now, I'm not sure. This doesn't happen very often, but we do occasionally have these situations where, a house fire is, I think, the most common thing. You've lost more than 50% of the volume of the house, and then there's some, nonconformity that you've just been living with because that's how the house is built, that then creates a problem for reconstruction.
You're
we're
just
just
paying it forward for the next time to make sure.
Right. We're just trying to address this specific situation for, local property owners who, for the most part, are living in the houses as well.
All right, if there are no other questions for city staff, we'll open it up for public testimony. If there's anyone from the public wishing to speak on docket item number 9, please raise your hand on Zoom.
We have no hands raised online.
We'll close all public testimony. Assuming there's no more from city staff, we'll close all testimony and take a motion.
Motion to approve docket item number 9 without conditions.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve docket item number 9 without conditions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Docket item number 9 passes. And that concludes all regularly docketed items. Is there anything else anyone needs to cover or bring up?
Nothing on the part of staff.
Cool. I move to, what do we say when we end a meeting? End the meeting?
Move to adjourn.
Adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you all very much.